We all say we understand that time is precious. We nod when people tell us it's our most valuable asset, and then we spend the next 3 hours scrolling through a feed or telling ourselves we'll start that important project tomorrow. Humans have a built-in alarm for physical loss. If you lose your wallet or find out you've been fired, your brain triggers an immediate panic. You feel the gap where that resource used to be. This comparison shows why time is different. On the left, a dropping bank balance flashes red, a clear signal of danger. But on the right, as the clock ticks, the seconds simply fade away. Because lost time doesn't make a sound or trigger a warning light, our brains often fail to notice it's gone at all. Logically knowing that time is non-renewable doesn't change our behavior. We only start to act differently when we actually feel the weight of that loss. In a small town, a hardworking shopkeeper watched his son waste day after day. While the father was at work before dawn, the son would sleep late and wander the lanes with his friends, convinced that life would wait for him forever. The father tried everything: gentle advice, stern warnings, and eventually silence. He saw that his words were just passing through his son's ears without leaving a mark. He realized that advice is rarely enough on its own. Real understanding only takes root when a person is ready to see the consequences of their choices for themselves. He knew that if his son was going to change, he needed to stop listening to lectures and start having an experience that made the value of time feel real. The father called his son over and handed him an old, functioning pocket watch. He told the boy to take it to the market and find out what people would be willing to pay for it. The boy took the watch to different sellers. A cloth merchant offered 500 rupees. A grocer said 800. A steel merchant offered 1,000. These merchants were doing exactly what we are trained to do. They looked at the metal, the age, and the craftsmanship to determine a fair price for a physical object. Our brains are very comfortable putting a price tag on things we can touch, especially when those things can be bought and sold again. The next day, the father sent his son back to the same market with a much harder task. This time, he told him to ask the merchants for the price of the time inside the watch. The merchants didn't know how to react. Some laughed at him. Others waved him away, annoyed that he was wasting their workday with such a strange question. Standing in the middle of that busy market, the boy felt a deep sense of shame. For the first time, he was forced to think about the one thing he had always taken for granted. The laughter of the crowd made him realize how little he actually understood about the hours he was throwing away. Facing that public rejection broke his assumption that time was a cheap, endless resource that didn't require his respect. Just before heading home, the boy stopped at a tiny watch repair shop. Behind the counter, an old man with silver hair paused his work and listened to the boy's question with quiet understanding. He told the boy that while the brass watch has a price, the time it tracks is unpurchasable. No amount of gold or wealth in the world can buy back a single hour. This flowchart explains why. Wealth and property are shown with cyclical arrows because they can be regained. A shop can be rebuilt, crops can be replanted. But the arrow for time moves in only one direction. When an hour of your life passes, it is gone forever, and no one can sell it back to you. The watchmaker then described time as the ultimate equalizer. As the diagram shows, that single arrow breaks into 24 uniform blocks. Regardless of where they are born or how much they own, every person receives an identical deposit of 24 hours each day. While many factors shape a life, the results we see are largely built on how those identical hours are used. The difference isn't in how much time we are given, but in our choice to respect the hours we have. The boy returned home and told his father everything the watchmaker had said. He didn't need another lecture. The experience of the last 2 days had finally made the lesson click. The town didn't change, and the market remained just as noisy. But the boy started waking up earlier to help at the shop. He began to work with a focus he'd never had before, because he finally saw his own time as a treasure he couldn't afford to waste. You don't create a meaningful life by waiting for your environment to change. We tell ourselves we're still young, or that we'll start tomorrow. But these small delays eventually harden into the way we live our entire lives. These harmless habits compound over the years, often leaving people wondering where their time went when it's already too late to get it back. Stop waiting for a perfect moment that doesn't exist. Start small. Put the phone away for 1 extra hour. Start that project you've been avoiding, or have the conversation you've been putting off. Because every single hour you invest in yourself today is building the person you will become tomorrow. You can replace almost anything else in your life, but you can never replace the moment that just passed. Respect your time. It is the most valuable thing you will ever own.